Welcome to Investors Insights. Today, as we go into America celebrating its independence, we are reminded of the Will Rogers quote, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme.
Yes, it does.
And on that note, we've chosen the topic, tariffs then, tariffs now. Ashley, you brought up in our meeting this morning that in our history, there's been times we've debated tariffs and taxes several times, actually.
That's right, and on to the fourth, and we end up getting a great country out of it. And what we were talking about this morning is that we ask ourselves the research question to share with you, were our founding fathers at the time dealing with something economically that's very similar to now that would have caused some of that? And the answer is yes. They were dealing with a massive government bailout a few years before of the East India Trading Company. Parliament had to bail it out, and the East India Trading Company, if you can imagine the 10 largest companies that you can think of, and gave them a military, that's how powerful they were.
Right.
Well, they had a big corruption scandal in the nation of India, their largest market. India exported two things, cotton and tea. We got a lot of the tea, we were paying too much, and we're like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
So a lot of what our 2008 financial crisis and the way we worked through it is very similar to what they had to deal with, and a lot of the price impact, which caused a lot more push on the revolutionary fervor, which is interesting to us.
Yeah, and as we talked about, of course, all the issues going on, not only in this country, but from a global standpoint in terms of tariffs. That's a huge debate right now. And Bobby, you brought up facts about the tariffs. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so two topics we'll be looking at for the second half of the year. Obviously, trade talk will continue to be the hot topic. The past few months, it's been talk. Well, actually, Friday, it comes to fruition. As actually the tariffs are impacted and they're actually enacted. So, obviously, 25% tariffs on 800 Chinese goods start on Friday. Same time, China is lobbing the same tariffs against us. And so, will the back and forth continue? That's going to be the big question as we go into the second half. The second topic we're looking at is the Fed. So how aggressive will the Fed be? The second part, we expect maybe 2, maybe 3 that will be aggressive. But the one item that not many people are talking about is the record debt level for American companies. Debt level is at $6.3 trillion, and high rates have an impact because that's where the cash proceeds will start going towards to pay off debt. And so the big question is it fixed or floating rates?
Well, that's the debate we had this morning in our meeting is that, I remember there were companies issuing debt, 20 and 30 years out, like at, 1%, some time ago. And we were worried about deflation. And we were also like, is this the future of interest rates? Right. Well, if it's a fixed low rate, is that really a debate? I mean,
did they raise all that debt because they could lock it in? The floating rate market, which something we invest in, is much smaller than the fixed rate market. And so what'll be fascinating to see is as rates go up, do companies run to lock in higher rates and shift their floating to fixed? And that is the second half is going to be very impactful to those bottom lines, like Bobby's saying.
Well, and it's a good point as to why we do these vlogs, because we want our clients to understand that when you see these headlines, when you see these discussions, let's look and see what the rest of the story is. Let's look, as the old saying when we had newspapers, what's on the back pages. So, I think that's one of the main reasons we do these vlogs, so that people know there's more to it and you don't have to be in a panic. Because of 2008, when people hear about debt levels, they immediately go, oh my word, but at low interest rates, that changes the dynamics in some ways.
The cost of carry.
Right, and then going back to tariffs, Trey, you went into what's happened internationally. We got some elections going on that we're going to be watching.
Yeah, over the weekend, Mexico elected a new president. Overwhelmingly, they elected, and excuse me if I get the name a little off, but Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, which affectionately known as AMLO, I think for obvious reasons, kind of shortened that on down.
I think we'll make that a vlog policy.
Exactly. And the reason it's impactful, one, now we have a new NAFTA trading negotiator down south of the border, but also he is uniquely socially conservative and economically liberal, which is a rough combination for markets because it kind of throws in the chance of higher regulation across the board. And also now we have a negotiating partner south of the border for NAFTA that doesn't really seem to like NAFTA. And so that'll be interesting to see how he and our negotiators kind of battle and see how this comes out. So it's going to be something we're going to have to watch very closely. Obviously, we see it in U.S. Everywhere people run on one thing and do another. So it'll be fascinating to see now that he's in there for 6 years. what he actually does, and how hard a line he draws.
Right, and tariffs and geopolitical. I mean, you've talked about China, you've talked about Mexico. There's other geopolitical situations we could talk about. But actually, you also brought up the point in the meeting about just the confidence level, and I think people watching our vlog need to know about that.
Yeah, they do. And two big points. One is we just had a great quarter. Our second quarter was great, one of the best in the 10 years of the expansion. Right. And the second is merger and acquisition activity is on a record pace. And CEOs do that when they're confident.
Absolutely.
And they're getting it, you're getting it from the consumer good, from business good, government is spending, inventory levels are going up, exports are going up. It's good across the board, U.S., that's for sure.
Right. Yeah, and that confidence level will determine not only our economy, but also as businesses continue to move forward with innovation and new products. So on that note, we hope you have a great 4th of July celebrating America's independence. We're going to keep you informed on these vlogs. We're looking forward to the second half of this year in celebration of all the freedom that we have and market freedoms that are out there. And we also believe that the confidence level as we move forward, despite all the noise that's out there, that we have a lot of great things going on in this country. Have a great celebration, and we'll look forward to keeping you informed.